thought. But and I may add here that as far as Kautilya is concerned, considerations of politics would be significant and possibly more important when there would be a kind of conflict or clash between ethical standards and the objectives which are to be achieved through the means of politics, right? But this does not mean that the king should not know the larger ethical or moral values that the society has at a given point of time, right? So that is something which we can keep in mind as far as uh, as far as Kautilya's understanding of the qualities that a king should have, that is concerned, right? Now, in addition to the all these five factors, there are other things which is related to the management of affairs of the state, right? And that is where Kautilya would assign a lot of responsibilities to the king, wherein he is expected to manage the affairs of the state with the help of his ministers. So that is again would be linked to the ability or skill that a particular king would have, right, in terms of managing the affairs of the state. And that is where Kautilya assigns a lot of importance to the king's ability to consult his ministers or to consult his amatyas, right? So in Kautilya's understanding, as far as the king is concerned, on every issue which would have importance in terms of governance or in terms of managing the affairs of the state, the king would consult or the king would take advice from his ministers, either jointly or individually, right? But eventual decision should be that of the kings, right? Eventual decision eventual decision would be taken by the king, right? Meaning that as far as the king is concerned, king has been given advice on the existing situation pertaining to a particular political issue or particular issue related to governance or particular issue related to the state's relationship with other state, right? But it is the king's decision which would matter, and the decision should be taken by the king alone, meaning that as advisors, ministers have an important role, but as a king, the ruler has to take a decision in terms of the course of action which is to become the policy of the state, right? So that's something one can understand, in terms of looking at the the qualities that Kautilya attributes to or ascribes to the king, right? To the king, there is a whole lot of qualities and a whole lot of values that Kautilya understands that a king should have. But these are some of the significant elements or qualities that, according to Kautilya, are important, right? Important when one is trying to look at the king. Meaning that yeah, a king should be well versed